Hey, welcome back to the Millionaire Landscaper Podcast. And today I've got a guest, Neal Neathery with San Antonio Archadeck. Neal, it's great to have you. You've got a lot of experience in the hardscape space. And I would love to just start off by kind of going back in time a little bit. And if you can think back to the very beginning, why get into hardscape? What's the story there of why you chose hardscape?
It's probably a longer answer than you want, Keith, but thanks for having me and appreciate it. So I was a college football coach for almost 30 years and got to a point where I was ready to leave that, start something new. When I got out, I had a friend say that I should hire a career coach and gave me somebody's name. I'd never heard of such a thing, but at his recommendation, I went ahead and called. And met a lady that really helped me a lot. And we started by just kind of going through some of the testing you would do, like when you were in college or high school, right? And it brought out a bunch of things. The first thing she said after we got all the results back, the first one was, you have a small business owner written all over you. And part of why I got out of coaching is because I was working myself ragged, and I said, I don't know. I'm kind of looking for something a little easier than that, maybe more 9 to 5. And then the other part, I said, I just don't have any expertise other than football, and I don't want to do football, so I don't know how I'd start a business and what it would be in. So then we went after trying to get a job. I was trying to get something in construction. Construction management came up high on several tests that I took, and I saw that appealed to me. And I was trying to get something in that field, and I failed. I went for about 3 or 4 months. I'd have interviews. I could tell I connected well with the people, and I wouldn't get it. So it kind of dawned on me, hey, I don't know. I'm over 50. I have no experience. I don't know how easy a thing this is going to be to change course. Harder than I would have thought. So I told her, let's just regroup. Give me a couple of weeks to just kind of think about it. Let's think through a different strategy maybe. And I just need a break from looking for a job. So I came across a thing on LinkedIn that was for a franchise called Pinch a Penny. It was like a pool service franchise. And the pool service didn't appeal to me that much, but I thought, franchise. So I started looking into it. I'm like, okay, I don't have any expertise. A franchise is going to teach you expertise. As I looked into it, I found out most franchise owners don't have experience in the field that they go pursue. And then I thought it would eliminate some of the risk that I wasn't probably willing to take in January. And I got small business owner written all over me. I have always wanted to do that, and that was appealing to me. And I had a lot more energy at that point after 3 months of not working. I was more like 5, I think, at that point. So, so I pulled a list of 300 top franchises and pulled 12 of them and started researching. And Archadeck and the Hardscape and building world really attracted me, and was in first place from start to finish on my decision to start a business. So that's my long story.
What were the things that attracted you to Archadeck versus the others?
One, I really like what we do. I mean, so we do quite a bit of hardscape. But we also, I say I'll do anything in your backyard but a pool. And I like the space we're in. Like, we build really cool stuff. People use it. They love it. I think there's some significance to it beyond just, all building has some significance to it. But when you give somebody a backyard space, it's a place for them and their family to hang out. It's a place for them to have their own quiet time in the morning or the evening. And it's just I like the significance of it. I like building things and the finished project. It has appeal. It appealed to me then, and it still does in that way. It seems like it's got some meaning to it beyond just a transaction. So.
And what was it about Archadeck? You could have just started something brand new. It sounded like there was an educational component. You came from the coaching world, so coaching is really important. You understand that. What detracted you from that standpoint?
So I was really impressed with the leadership from the start. And, it's been around for 45 years. They're all over the country, and just to convince me that they'd do a good job teaching me what I needed to know to get up to speed and give me enough, to get me out there to go succeed. I mean, if you're a franchise owner, at the end of the day, it's still your business, and you get up in the morning unemployed and got to go find a job. It's no different than any other, but you do have some support. And for someone who knew nothing at all about this field and had zero experience, I needed them, and they did a really good job of getting me up and running. They convinced me of that before I bought in, and then afterwards delivered on those promises. So
We've got a lot of hardscapers who come in from they started their own thing and maybe it's really small and they're struggling. What do you think the advantage is in comparison between somebody who joins the Archadeck program versus somebody who's just struggling on their own? They're kind of worried about how much it would cost if they were to join into a franchise and such. Maybe you could unpack some of that a little.
yeah, so I do talk to potential franchisees quite often. If there's someone who has building experience, I ask them, I'm very frank about it. I just say, hey, do you really need Archadeck? You already know how to build and you've got connections and all that stuff. Can't you go hire someone to help you market this thing and get some help without buying into a franchise and having that forever? I always ask that question. I would think through that. For me, I didn't know anything. It was, I had to have somebody hold my hand. But I do think that's one of the things, to get back to your question, that you get from our franchise, and I would assume most, is our marketing's outstanding. And for someone who's never built anything and you're trying to put a website together and stuff, you have some instant credibility that would have been really hard for me to do on my own, to make my own website, to have, I mean, I didn't have any pictures of stuff we built. I didn't have, there's a lot of things that were really helped by the franchise. And I think the marketing piece is significant. They do a really good job of getting you up and running quickly on the marketing side, and coaching you through how to what to spend on what. So yeah.
Is coaching for areas where you feel like you're weak just a call away, or how does that set up with them? Do they have coaches on standby for problems within the business that you might have, or how does that
So
part work?
you get assigned someone at first that you're weekly communicating with, at least. I think at the very first it's almost daily, but then you just kind of figure out on their support staff who you need to call for specific issues, and you have that. The other part that has been really, really cool. So the office in Virginia and that support staff, I'm very happy with. The camaraderie amongst the owners and the help that you get from other owners is been amazing. Like, has blown me away. So Archadeck Austin has been around for 30 years, and the owner there for the last 15, I wouldn't have made it without him. I talked to him multiple times a week, and he helped me a ton. Still does. I had a problem yesterday, and I called him. I count him a close friend now, but our biggest office is in Chicago and owns all of Chicagoland for as far as franchises go, right? And does a lot. And he invited me up. I went and spent 2 days with him, and I'll call him and ask him questions. Like, there doesn't seem to be a lot of ego in the room, which is the opposite of coaching. That's been refreshing. And there's just a lot of mutual help, and from the bigger office as well as really just anybody. So, and then I'll add to that, we're about a month into a cohort call with people that are kind of in a similar place, timeline, and also income or revenue. So it's trying to get sort of the generation that came in with me that's in a certain revenue range, trying to get us to another step. And we're sort of going back through some of the training and more in depth on some things, meeting once every 2 weeks. I think we're doing it for 4 months. So, there's been good continuing education with that.
It's interesting to me because I don't typically talk to people who are in the franchise model. So not necessarily a podcast about Archadeck, but it's it's fascinating because you could struggle through your business, but there's truly a fast track to a peer group. But one of the best things you can do is invest in yourself. You can invest in your business, in equipment, maybe that new equipment to install pavers or whatever. But sometimes we forget that actually the best investment we can do is in ourselves. And it kind of sounds like that's the fast track you were trying to take. Is that fair to say?
I think that's true. Knowledge is
with
power.
your friend over there in Austin, a phone call away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm assuming he's further ahead, and you're trying to get to that. Yeah.
Right. He called me and asked me a question about 3 weeks ago, and I just laughed and laughed. I thought that was the greatest thing ever to get to answer one of his questions. So yeah.
There we go. Iron sharpen iron, right?
Right.
I love it. Well, when did you realize that? Because this is the other thing. A lot of hardscapers just get into this business. Maybe they start with mowing grass, and then one day they realize, hey, I can install this paver job or this concrete and actually make a lot more money. So I guess I'll go do that. But it's still kind of a job. In fact, it could be that classic, I work 80 hours a week for 40 hours of pay. And for you, as you were going along this journey, when did you kind of realize that this wasn't just a job, but it was a path you were meant to build this business? And what did that mean for you?
So what I came from was a world where from the end of July till Christmas, I was working 7 days a week and 100 hours a week. And it's some of why I'm doing this now. But what I've learned is I'm kind of wired that way. And so I've had to put boundaries on it. I told my wife when we got out of coaching, I'm not going to work on Sundays anymore. And honestly, I've had to fight that some, as we've gotten busier, but, my stress level and my hours, I probably am working more hours than I would want, but I do like work. But my stress level is much lower, and compared to what I was doing, it's not hard. So, but it is a lot. I mean, you own a business. Again, you wake up every morning unemployed. You better go sell either you sell a job or you don't. And either you're building and making money or you're not. So there's that aspect to it. But it feels relatively easy to me.
So when you kind of think about those 7-day weeks, 100 hours, you're not working on Sundays, was that typically maybe Saturday, Sunday, you're doing some bids, or are you doing actual installs on those days, or what did that look like?
No. When I'm saying that 100 hours a week, that was when I was coaching football.
Got it. Yeah.
I am not doing that in this business.
Okay,
no,
not doing that.
I walked away from that. I walked away from that. So I do work a lot of hours, but not that pace. Not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So
it's not uncommon, I mean, to work 6 days a week in this industry because you're bidding on Saturdays too. Is that pretty typical for you then, Neal?
Yeah, I work every Saturday. It's rare that I don't work on Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
but the work, it seems so like you're going out, you're meeting people, you're going on a nice drive.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, it's a lot of talking to people, driving, like that. Just
beautiful homes.
Yeah. Yep. And
doing
for
the
the most
you love,
folks. So yeah,
that's really neat. So as far as where you want to build the business, at first, I imagine it felt like a lot of things, although you had a support system around you. When did it start feeling like you were getting some breathing room and some more freedom in it?
I don't think I've quite got that yet.
Okay.
So I just made a big hire a month ago. All right. And I put a lot of money into a construction manager. I would assume most people would think the same way about this. I don't need a lot of people to do this. You don't have to, because it works mostly in subs. So as far as employees, that construction manager is the most important hire I could have. And I invested a lot into it with the intention that within a couple of months, he's completely running it and I'm just know what's going on, but not involved. So I'm still training him. And until I, can kind of pass the torch, I think it's going to continue to feel, I haven't gotten to uh, a spot where I feel like I can set back a little bit. So
Now, Neal, you have a model where you are entirely sub crews with no internal crews, or
I don't
how's
have
that?
any employee crews. It's all
Yeah.
subs. And I've got about a dozen guys that do different things, all different disciplines, and
Yeah.
but all are working for me pretty regularly.
And is that a pretty common model within the Archadeck?
Some of the bigger offices have employee crews.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's less common, but some of the bigger offices that have been established and around a little longer do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see a place where you would start hiring internally, or is it kind of like this gives me the freedom I'm looking for with the sub crew model?
Possibly. So, um, hey, if you're in the Midwest, you're building a lot more decks than we build. I do build probably about 30%, 40% of my business this year has been decks, but I do a lot of concrete. I do a lot of roofs. So I'm using an electrician, a painter, a concrete guy, a mason quite a bit, all of that. And so a job might have 8 different subs on it. Um, I don't have enough work for any of them to be employees. I'm close on my carpenter.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll ever have, maybe I would for a mason someday.
Yeah.
Maybe I could for concrete. I'd have to be really big to be able to have anybody full time except for a carpenter. And I'm probably
Yeah.
close to being where that would make sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense unless you have work for them every day. Otherwise, you're making a mistake, in my opinion. So,
It's that's a really cool model, Neal. I think a lot of people, other hardscapers might think, hey, sub crews, maybe I've used them, but I just can't be profitable with them. Can you kind of lean into how do you ensure profitability with sub crews and how you create the deal with them and such? So
yeah, so I'm not sure I'm a good guy to answer that question.
okay.
I only know the one way I've done it. I love the economy of the model. I mean, as
Yeah.
I've gone through guys and figured out who my guy was, if I don't like you, I don't have to fire you. I just don't call you again.
Yeah. It's pretty
It's
simple.
great. You do a good job, I call you and give you more work. You do a bad job or we don't like each other, I don't call you or give you more work. It's an awesome model.
Yeah.
And uh I say that harshly, but the guys that I have, they like me, and it's a two-way street where we're really working together. It's worked very well for me. Um I don't really know the economy of how much better that would be if I had an employee.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think let's just say average hardscaper depends on which mode you're in. If you're in growth mode, if you're in profit mode, growth mode, your profits are going to be less. But most hardscapers I talk to, it seems that they're somewhere around 12 to 15% profitability at the end of the day, not gross, but net at the end of the day.
Are
And
they doing it turnkey then?
yeah.
So I don't do anything turnkey.
Oh, really?
All of it, I'm buying all the material, even for my mason. On my
Yeah.
hardscape, same way. I'm just paying labor.
Just paying labor. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So I kick in a little extra for my mason, so he'll make all the crap disappear at the end of it.
Yeah.
Since you can't return any of that stuff. But yeah. So I think the way I'm doing it works pretty well.
It works easy. It gives you more freedom that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Well, what was a season you would say in your business that stretched you as a leader and kind of got you to that next level? Maybe it was a ceiling you were bumping up against, but you finally were able to break through. Can you kind of think back on a season like
Yeah.
that?
I think one of the biggest things was learning how. So I do a 2-call sales process. I don't try to sell it on the first call. Most of my stuff is, occasionally I will, but most of the time I'm going back and pricing and designing and then coming back a second time with that design and price. But being able to, on a visit, accurately give them an estimate, that was hard for me at first. It was
Oh
really hard
yeah.
to be able to think on your toes and figure that out. You got a roof and you got concrete and some masonry, and I would be wildly wrong. and taught in sales, which I think was wise, is don't leave without a budget, always have a budget. Don't design without a budget. So getting to a point where I was competent enough
Mm.
to go in a home and confidently say, hey, this is going to cost me about $60,000 to build what you just said you wanted. Are you comfortable with that number? And then to be able to back out of that if they say, no, we don't want to spend that much, and figure out a way to get it down, or to just part ways and say, I'm not going to spend more time on this because that's what it's going to cost.
Mm.
Getting to that spot was really freeing so that I could design for people who doesn't mean I'm going to get the job, but they at least are in the ballpark.
Yeah. Just curious, as far as in that place where you've kind of given them a ballpark and they say, I want to go get a few more bids. Do you have a good comeback for that?
Um,
To kind of get them to focus on.
Yeah, I just tell them they should. I'm like, I would do the same thing. That's fine. I don't twist arms. I didn't, we had sales training and it was more traditional sales training. I'm
Sure.
trying to run my business off the golden rule, and whether I'm not saying I'm right, I can't stand someone all of a sudden if you sign today, you get 30% off. That makes me angry. You're talking about spending tens of thousands of dollars, and I know a lot of people do. I'm not saying it bad towards anybody. That bothers me as a consumer. And so I'm going to treat that person sitting across the table the same way I want to be treated, which is, I would want to talk to my wife about this before I spend 40 grand. I would want to think about it. So I haven't done all the objections and all that stuff I don't do that just because I don't want that done to me. It's a big decision. And ultimately, I think you are much better off not twisting arms if you let them take their time and they really want it, and you're building things that people have thought through and want. They're going to be happy. If you're building things that you twisted arms to get to sign that day and made up crazy discounts that we would all starve if we actually gave, you're going to have unhappy clients. So I think long term, it's not best. I know a lot of people do it, and there's a lot of people that are smarter at sales than me that would say you have to do that stuff, but I don't. So
the nice thing is when you walk into that bid, you're not walking in without a brand. You've got a brand, and you've got quite a few reviews as well on Google that they're referencing before they even talk to you. So I think it's the framework I think of is somebody's not going to close unless they trust you, they trust your company, and they trust your service and product. And you've got to score about an 8 out of 10 on each one of those. So with Archadeck and the brand and the nice website, and then also the reviews there, that puts you up higher. And then it's just interacting with them, kind of seeing where they're at in that educational process for where maybe they're a beginner. They don't know what the cost is. It's just a process for them to learn that. And getting a few bids can kind of help that. Help see where you land, what you said versus what other people said. It's kind of like if you spend time with them and go over the details, well, someone might be cheaper, but they don't go through those details. And that's a red flag to an owner.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Or don't have the reviews, right? Like that's the other problem.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, I don't know if it's good or bad, but the review world is kind of become king in this, and because so many people are getting there, deciding whether they're going to trust you before, or even whether they're going to trust you enough to call you based on what your Google business site says. So it's become extremely important.
Now, if we kind of think early on, there was a little bit of unknowns because you were going from football coach to hardscaper, all brand new. Was there kind of a defining moment that you can remember where things were they just clicked and you're like, I know I can do this. Great.
The first year was awesome. I really enjoyed it. And I think some of it, I was just running on adrenaline and like, I'm going to make this work. I have to make this work. And, I really enjoyed it. After that, to me, it got harder. And I don't know if some of it was kind of honeymoon phase and some of it was just God's blessing in the first year. But
Yeah.
the um at the end of the first year, I don't know that there was actually a moment to answer your question, Keith. I'm not sure I can say
Oh,
there's one moment, but there was definitely a spot where I felt confident, like, I know I can sell this. We've built some really cool stuff. Um, and,
yeah.
we're having professional photos taken of that. That may be the moment. Okay, so when I could make my
Yeah.
website with my photos and go, look what I built, that's really cool. And that was at the end of the first
Yeah.
year. We had kind of accumulated a bunch of professional photos as well as some of my own photos and put them all together, redid the website and went, wow, that's really neat. We built that. We did that.
Yeah.
And um yeah, so there's your moment.
Yeah. Solidifies you as an artist. And
Yeah,
that's so pleasing to see that.
it
It's
really
like,
is.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if
So
we think about what's unique about your business, you're in the franchise Archadeck, but what are some things you've kind of done differently compared to others, maybe other competitors in your area that have really helped your business stand out?
well, uh I'd go back to our conversation we just had a minute ago. I spent 30 years competing, where it literally was me versus somebody else. Somebody was going to win and someone was going to lose.
Yeah.
And, you get some enemies in that world and all that. And I just said, I don't want to do
Yeah.
that anymore. In business, it doesn't, I mean, you call them competitors, but I don't know any of those guys and I wish
Mm.
them the best. I don't, I don't know them. And I hope they do well. And if the economy's good, we can all make money. No one has to
Yeah.
lose. If you're bad at it, you'll probably lose. But if you're good at it, several of us be good at it. And San Antonio's pretty big. So I don't see it like competition in the same regards as football because someone had to lose and someone had to win. But how we've stood out, we've just tried to be. So what I tell people is we've built the business on the golden rule. I mentioned that, and just tried to have a laundry list of how we would want to be treated. We moved around a little bit coaching and had different houses, and I didn't do as big of projects as some of the things I'm doing now. But I had people in my house doing thousands of dollars worth of work, and um, I had a couple where I went lowest bidder, and it sucked. And my wife has forgiven me, but she has not forgotten, and neither have I. Um,
Sure.
when it goes bad. And so I've had a couple that went really good personally. And so we tried to say, okay, this is what it should feel like. And this is the experience we want to give. We want it to be more relational than just transactional. And we want it to be excellent from the time we start to the time we're finished and even beyond if there's issues that need addressed after we're closed out the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying there's other people that aren't doing that, but that's what we've tried to make.
Yeah. I like it. When you're doing work for clients, what's like the most favorite thing you like to do?
Um, Project type or,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Project type.
I think our sweet spot, um, I like most everything we do. Our sweet spot though is when somebody's doing a project that needs 8 or 9 people to finish it. And like we've
Mm,
got one that tomorrow there'll be some masons there finishing up the kitchen. There'll be a little bit of touch up paint done, a gutter guy, an electrician doing the finishes, and all that coming together and looking really pretty. And you got all these people towards the end doing stuff. That's really fun, and it's really cool when you get done with it to see, well, I built something that's going to last a long, long time,
yeah.
and it's really pretty, and they're going to enjoy that. That really is most satisfying when it's a multi. I love building a deck. It's much simpler, but when we
Mm,
bring all those people together, I mean, it's a team just like football was a team. You got to go recruit good people who do good work, and they all got to do their part, and then you get something really cool at the end.
wow. Outdoor living, the full transformation.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So,
Well, I heard some faith things from you. You said the golden rule. I heard that over and over again. It sounds like this is one of your core values and how that you do business and interact with people. I'm just wondering, how has faith impacted your business and how you've dealt with people and I guess accomplishing the purpose that you were created for and how that gives you peace, I guess, too.
Yeah. So, couple things. The golden rule thing I got from a client who's a very successful businessman. His family actually invented ballpark nacho cheese. They were the first people to
Whoa.
do that. Sold it at the Texas Ranger
Wow.
games, and the rest is
Yeah.
history.
Wow.
And I said, give me some advice, man. You've been a businessman your whole life and done all this and accomplished all this. And he was like, the one rule we have is the golden rule. And I said, that makes a lot of sense. That was really early when I started. And so, yeah, we put that on it. But the first thing is I've tried to make sure that I rest. I mentioned that earlier. I don't think it's
Mhm.
good to work 7 days a week. And as a business owner, it's very tempting to work 7 days a week. The second thing is I start every day giving it to God. And I'm far from perfect and have lots of faults and warts, but I do start each day saying, Lord, it's yours and give me peace about it. And I pray for that. And I'm going to work really hard at it. But I ultimately know that if you don't bless it, it's not going to succeed.
Wow.
And then we've tried to just value godliness over profit. Now the end of the day, the business is none of us have a business to lose money. We want to make money, but tried to be doing it in the right way. And it's yeah. So that's really who we tried to be. And I
And
don't.
how have you seen that affect the mindset within the business? One of the things we deal with people every day, and one of the things that I've been just really leaning into is this idea of people aren't perfect, and so they bring all their perfect imperfections into the business, including my own. And how, from that standpoint of faith, have you seen that help people? It doesn't matter if they're of faith or not. Just, I pick up a book about how to fix your business culture, and it's like, man, a lot of the things they're talking about here are kind of in the Bible. So,
Yeah.
um,
Right.
how have you seen that kind of working in your business to really not just help you in your interactions with clients, but also with your subs and things like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it just gets back to um, if you're a believer, you want to be, you want to have the fruit of the spirit, and I fail really miserably. I felt like when I was coaching, I was a zero on that. I'd pray for it and couldn't get it. I'm, uh, this is less stressful environment, and I feel like I maybe get a few of them every day. So just trying to treat people that way. I think that
Wow.
sets you apart. And not that there's not other good folks out there, but right away people know if you're going to treat them with respect and you're going to pay them on time and fairly and all those
Mm.
things. I think that interacting with subs in that regard, and then with clients, people. I think the biggest thing in sales is be yourself. Like I tried to do kind of the salesy stuff for about 2 sales calls, and I went, "This is stupid. It's not who I am," and it really doesn't work when it's not who you are. So I think just being yourself, and hopefully, if you're a believer, some of yourself has been being shaped over years and years of
Yeah,
trying to train in that way. So.
I love it. Well, Neal, over this next year, were you feeling as far as goals for your business? How do you come about setting that? I mean, you give it to God every day, but it's like, hey, God, where do you want me to go? But you're a steward of this thing. How do you think about that in relation to the goals and where you want to go over this next year?
But I think they work really well together.
Mm,
I mean, same way in coaching. I, I do set goals and I do go after them, but I never make that
mm,
I completely realize that I wasn't going to win a game. I'm not going to make a dollar unless God blesses what I do.
mm.
First of all, you got to be healthy, right? If
Yeah.
so, um, I understand that part of it, but I do have goals that we're going after, but I try never to put that in front of the other things we've talked about in this today. So.
It's kind of weird because it's like when when we grip tighter on the business and try to control, we just find that we don't have control.
Right.
And it's kind of like you said, you can put the goal out there, but it's just a faith thing. You have to live in that faith that God's going to make it rain. Otherwise, sleepless nights, overworking, all the above.
Yeah. All of that. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, when you think about like all the other hardscapers out there who are listening in, and not everyone is one of faith, but I think it's really important because what I find is that a lot of the answers to being a successful business owner and building a successful culture, really a lot of those principles apply. And I'm wondering, what are some feedbacks you can give to the hardscape business owners? Like, hey, think about these 1 or 3 things that you could do to really, really help you in developing your business and growing your business.
I don't want to be a broken record, but I'll say it again, is make sure you take some time to rest.
Mm.
Me, that's on Sunday. You can do it whatever day you want, but I think you don't have to be a person of faith when you get to be my age and you've watched life and you've read your Bible. It makes sense. And you don't have to believe the whole thing to go, okay, it's a good concept to take 24 hours where I don't do anything.
Right.
It's a good concept to treat people well. And I think doing those 2 things, and keeping those more important than profitability ultimately are going to lead to success. And you don't have to believe the same thing you or I believe to do that. So,
Yeah, I love it. Well, Neal, it has been great having you on today, and really excited about what's going to happen this next year, and where God's going to take your business. And just for our listeners, if this has been helpful to you, go ahead and give a like and a comment. Would love to hear your feedback. And we'll see you guys next week on the Millionaire Landscaper Podcast. Thanks.